Hi, today's lesson is a short one on adding integers. I'll be using a number line because I think it's a good way to start when you're first learning about adding and subtracting these positive and negative numbers. You need some kind of visual in your head to relate to. So here we go. In my first problem, one that we did in elementary school, 3 plus 5, I just want to show you what the arrows look like. So I'm going to talk to you about the direction of the arrows. So when we have 3 and we add 5 to it, I'll always start at 0 today. 3 plus 5 more. The arrows are going in the same direction. So I can just add those two numbers just like you've done since first grade. And 3 plus 5 is going to be 8. Now what you're going to be seeing starting in 7th grade is you might see -3 plus -5. Well, that looks a lot like the 3 plus 5 except for we're going in the other direction. -3 plus a -5, and we're going to end up at a -8. The arrows continue to go in the same direction. We had a negative plus another negative. Now when your arrows start going in different directions, this is when sometimes it gets tricky. Now as long as your numbers stay small, they're not too tricky. But when we start dealing with big numbers, which I'll get to a few here in a minute, or decimal numbers, then it gets a little bit tricky. So I want to talk about the direction of the arrows. So on this one we have -3 plus 5, and this is a positive 5 here. There's not a negative sign here, so -3 plus 5. So we got -3, and then we're supposed to add 5 to it. So that means I'm going to be coming back this direction. So back to 0 is 3, 4, 5, and I end up at 2. Now that's kind of easy to see when we have small numbers, but what I want you to see is that when your arrows switch directions, when they overlap here, that means you should be subtracting the numbers. We just need to figure out what is this difference right here. What is the difference between the two numbers? I had gone 3 this way and then come back 5 this way. So that's a difference of 2. So I could have actually have done 5 minus 3, which we didn't have to with little numbers, but 5 minus 3, and I know that the positive number was the bigger number, so I knew I was going to end up in the positives, and the difference between the two numbers was 2. Okay, let's try another one. 3 plus -5. So this time I'm going to go to 3, and now I'm going to add -5 to it, so that means I need to come back to the left. And I'm going to end up at -2. Again, here's our arrows. They're overlapping. They switch directions. I went to the right and then I had to come back to the left. Well, 5 is bigger than 3, so I did end up crossing back across 0. So I knew I was going to end up in the negatives. So I could have just subtracted the 2. 5 minus 3 is 2, and I just knew that the negative number had a larger absolute value, so I was going to end up at -2. Okay, let's try a few random ones before I show you some bigger ones. So -3 plus -2. -3 plus a -2. My arrow is going to continue to go to the left. When your arrows go the same direction, you can just add the two numbers. So 3 plus 2 is 5. I was moving to the left, so it's going to be a -5. -4 plus 7. I'm going to go to -4 plus 7. That's a positive 7, so that means I need to go back to the right. Oh, my arrows are overlapping again. I switched directions. So now I just need to know the difference between these two numbers. Well, 7 minus 4 is 3, and 7 has a larger absolute value, so it's going to be a positive 3. 5 plus -8. 5 plus -8, 5 plus a -8. So here's another one. I'm switching directions. My arrows are going in different directions. Because they switch directions, I just need to know the difference between these two. So 8 minus 5 is 3. My negative number had a larger absolute value, so it's going to be -3. Okay, I wanted to show you these arrows on these easier problems because you're not always going to have low, pretty easy numbers. You might have some bigger numbers that you're not going to have a big enough number line to draw the arrows on. So you need to be able to visualize that number line in your head and recognize whether your arrows are going in the same direction or whether they've switched directions. Same direction means we'd add the numbers, and then different directions means we would need to subtract the numbers. So on this one, negative 23 plus 52. So I visualize a number line in my head, negative 23, I'd come over here 23, plus 52. Well, I'm going to end up back in the positives. And I will refer to negatives to money a lot. If you're in the hole $23 and you get $52, well, you're not going to be in the hole anymore. Now you're in the positives, you have good money. But your arrows did switch directions. We went negative plus a positive, so my arrows switched directions. So I do need to subtract these, and my answer will be positive because the positive number had the larger absolute value. So 52 minus 23, 29, and it'll be a positive 29. Okay, negative 75 plus negative 13. So negative 75, I go to the left, plus a negative 13, I go to the left again. So my arrows are going in the same direction, so I can just add these two, but I'm going to the left, so that's going to be a negative answer. So 75 plus 13 is negative 88. Okay. Next one, negative 31 plus 17. Okay, so if you refer to it as money, I'm in the hole $31. I make $17. Is that enough to get me out of the hole? No, I'm still going to be in the hole. I'm still going to be in negatives. So negative 31 plus 17, my arrows did switch directions, but I didn't get into the positives yet. So because they switched directions, I'm going to subtract the numbers. 31 take away 17. I'm at 14, and it will be a negative 14. Okay. It's important to understand these arrows and their directions because now we're going to see decimal numbers this year too. So this is negative 12 and 1/10 plus 5 and 2/10. Negative 12 and 1/10. So you just picture that number line. I'm going to come back 12 and 1/10, so about 12. And then I'm going to add 5 back to it. So I'm going to get to come back. Again, you can think of it as money. This is like you're in the hole, $12.10, and you earn $5.20. Well, you're still going to be in the hole. $12.10 is clear back here, and I only gained 5 more. So my arrows would change directions, which means I need to subtract them, and then I know in my head that I'm still going to be in the negatives. So 12.1 minus 5.2. So I'm at negative 6 and 9/10. Okay, keep practicing. This takes a lot of practice. We'll see you later.